kind of helping them recognize, all right, here's the needs I've been attempting to meet by going to porn, and learning how to meet those needs in a healthier way. A lot of people are emotionally immature. So when they're dealing with these emotions, or when they're dealing with these urges, they got to do something with it. Like,
and you got to remember in your mind, there's nothing that's stopping you from being great. The only thing that you have to do is just decide to do so. You take the stand today and just say, I'm going to be great. When you wake up in the morning, today is going to be a great day. I feel great. Let the words manifest itself. Don't think that it's all hype. Don't think that I'm charged up over something make-believe. I am living proof. You were born to be great. Turn off the noise, everything else that's outside, and step into your greatness.
Tell us who you are and what your theme is and what is part of the mission that you're on.
Yeah, brother, thank you very much. And it's good to be here. So my name is Matt Sinkovitz, and I'm the founder of Porn to Purpose. We are a global men's community and also coaching community. And our work is to support men in freeing themselves from pornography addiction. And I started this program, this process a couple years ago, kind of as a result of my own relationship with pornography. I had like a 20-year or so relationship with porn from my teens up into my 30s, and ultimately went out and hired a coach and kind of did the deep work around getting it resolved for myself. It was one of those things that I kind of had always dealt with. And as I resolved that, I had also always been doing personal and spiritual development work, investing in coaches and mentors and doing a lot of my own stuff, and felt called to be leading and to be of service to others. But I also felt like it was something that I needed to resolve for myself in my own life. So after having done that and kind of simultaneously moving more into this service work that I felt called to do, it just became clear to me that this was kind of the area that I wanted to focus on, and the way I wanted to step in and start serving men. Because a lot of the work, really the crux of the work that we're doing with the men is personal and spiritual development work. The porn is just kind of the symptom of something deeper,
Right.
So that's kind of what led me to the work.
Yeah. So we may get a little deep here for a minute. And if if it's something you don't want to answer, that's totally fine. So what would you consider as an addiction to porn? Like, how many times? Is it a frequency? Is it what you view, or is it just you should not look at porn, period? Like, how do you categorize and view it?
Yeah, and you can ask any questions you like, brother. I'm good with that. So it really comes down to like a case by case, person to person basis. Like I definitely take the stance. There are some positions out there that really kind of demonize porn, just like some people demonize like all drugs or whatever it might be. I really think it's a case by case kind of person to person situation. And I really think you have to inventory for yourself, like let's take alcohol, for instance. Some people can have a couple beers on the weekend and be cool, and it doesn't turn into an issue, but some people, one sip of alcohol, chaos inevitably ensues. You know what I mean? It's going to be destructive. So some people have a similar relationship with porn or sex. Sex addiction is like a real thing out there. You got Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous and all this stuff out there. So it falls into that category of sex addiction. And for some people, porn is really toxic. Some people can maintain kind of a casual relationship with porn or don't really notice any adverse effects. Some women use it. Some couples use it within their relationship and they find it to be a healthy thing. So I honor that. But some people, it has a really toxic effect. And like that was the case with me. And so how do you gauge like if that's you or not? When I'm working with guys, one of the things that we kind of help use to clarify these questions is like, one, like what are your feelings? What are your emotions around it? Do you find that after pornography use and masturbation, like do you feel a lot of like adverse negative feelings, guilt, shame, regret, remorse, depression? A lot of guys experience that,
Yeah, but it's sort of like, let's say if you're in a relationship and for let's say because of a medical issue, you're not able to engage in sexual activity with your partner, and instead of you stepping out, now you're leaning to porn. Like what is the alternative?
Yeah. Well, the alternative could be, I guess, you have to really decide that for yourself. The alternative would be maybe masturbation and self-pleasure without the porn. You have to decide if porn's toxic for you or not. And like I was going to say, add on to my last piece there, some people have tried to quit and they can't quit. They have this kind of compulsive relationship with it. Some people also have to like maintain a lot of secrecy and they have to hide it a lot in their lives. So that would be like another indication if it's kind of like an addiction or not, if you have to hide it, or if you've attempted to quit, but you cannot control your compulsion around it. Right. Yeah. And if some people are not intimate in their relationship and they're using porn and they're good with that, and they feel like they're in integrity with that decision, then good for them. But some people kind of just know that it's unhealthy for them, and the genres get really extreme and their use gets really extreme and they're hiding it from their partner, and it becomes like this destructive kind of force in their life. And those are the people that often seek help for it.
Yeah. And thinking back, the first time that I seen porn was as a kid at a friend's house that took it from like their dad's collection. It was sort of like, right. Ooh, like look at this. Right. And then it was sort of like this rush that you got from it, that you can get so easily excited by watching two people in the act, Yeah. And then as you get older, it's sort of like the acts become more extreme to keep you engaged, So it's like you just can't look at straight porn, then you have to look at, whatever that you're into. So with your mission, tell us a little bit more about your mission. And wait, side question: what type of incense are you burning there?
Oh, this is Nag Champa, brother. This is the classic Nag Champa for me. That's my go-to.
Okay, yeah, very cool. So yeah, tell us more about your organization, and what was the reason for the primary focus on porn? Was it from the personal standpoint that you found how much better you were after you looked at getting over it, so to speak?
Yeah, for me, I recognized that it was like, it was just really unhealthy for me. Again, it was one of those things that I kind of had this compulsive relationship with. For me, it just didn't feel like the kind of guy that I wanted to be, and something I continued to go back to. And it was creating, like, I think, sexual issues for me, social issues for me. And I was also, like I said, stepping into leadership in the spiritual capacity. And I just kind of recognized for myself, it was something that I didn't want to have as a part of my life. And yeah, as you mentioned, genres kind of get more and more extreme, and we end up watching stuff that really doesn't align with kind of like our true tastes and stuff like that. So for me, I recognized it was something I wanted to weed out of my life, and I ended up doing that. I worked with a coach and got into community and accountability around it. And it's something that a lot of men deal with, and most men deal with it very secretly. It's a very private journey. And I just know how many men deal with it. And I recognize like the value of it in my own life with porn being absent, the level of power I experience, the level of personal integrity that I experience, the level of clarity that I experience in my own life. So yeah, just recognizing that so many men deal with it in the shadows, knowing it's such a big thing for a lot of people. That's why I decided to focus on it.
So would you say that it was sort of a coping mechanism that you went to porn is sort of to get away from whatever pain or something that you were going through?
Yeah, that's like a big piece of the puzzle. We're a mindfulness based community, and that's really one thing we take a look at. We recognize that oftentimes we're using porn to meet certain emotional needs, or we're just using it to deal with life or to cope, to use your words. A lot of times we go to porn, just like some people go to cigarettes or food or drugs and alcohol to meet certain emotional needs. We're feeling lonely, we're feeling disconnected, we're feeling tired, we're feeling anxious, we're feeling unsatisfied with life, we're looking for mental stimulation. So like sex is our outlet, sex is our go-to. And it's also tricky because it's right at the tip of our fingers all the time. You know what I mean? Right. So yeah, there's this emotional need that people are trying to meet, or there's this fantasy aspect that people are just trying to not deal. They're trying to check out, just like some people go to video games, I think.
Right. And then that's when it becomes a problem in your relationship, because now you're fantasizing about acts that is created for fantasy, and you're trying to bring it into the real world. It just doesn't work out.
Yeah. And to add to that, I think where we begin to see problems in relationship, again, a lot of people, it's very secretive. So it creates a lot of secrecy within the relationship. A lot of women, now not all women, but a lot of women feel like their partner is almost being unfaithful to a degree, because they're like spending all this time and emotional and spiritual energy, you know what I mean, on fantasizing about other women. And number three, I think a real just straight kind of just like a really obvious thing is like, if you're going to porn several times throughout the day and you're masturbating, you know what I mean? When it gets time to come home, and connect with your partner, you just don't have that interest or that energy oftentimes. So it really has a way of kind of, I don't know, just like letting the gas out of the tank.
Big time, because I knew of someone at one time to where, there was such an addiction for it to where they admitted, like, I'd rather masturbate than to have intercourse with you. And exactly. it train wrecked the relationship, because after a while, this person felt as if, he doesn't value me. It's like he rather look at his DVDs or whatever with all this stuff on it rather than to connect with me. Mm-hmm. Walk us through what is it like when a person joins your community? What does the onboarding process look like, or what does it look like in the process of you coaching them? Like, what does the program look like exactly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we take our guys. So we've got two things. We've got the Porn to Purpose Facebook community, which is about 800 guys. That's a free community from around the world, and that really creates a safe space for guys to come in and begin doing this work, to step into community, to be visible around this thing that they've been hiding for so long, to kind of recognize that there's other people that are dealing with this, and they're not the only one. They're not alone in this journey. We run challenges. Like in January, we have a 7-day porn abstinence challenge coming up where we support the guys in 7 days of abstinence, and we do training around that. That's a free challenge. So, guys that are just coming into the free community, it could look like just beginning to share and to connect with others on this journey and maybe get some basic training. And then we have a 90-day program. It's called the Liberation Boot Camp for guys that have kind of known, hey, I've done this, I've tried this on my own for all my life, and I need some additional support. I need some additional accountability. I need to create more commitment around this. So that process, man, is really like a 3-tiered process. We get guys in and we get them into accountability like they've never had before. We have like this multi-layered kind of accountability structure in place, and we get them into regular community. We have a couple group coaching calls every week. And in the place of that community and accountability, we create that abstinence from porn. Now, during that time, we still encourage like healthy forms of masturbation, as long as it's not excessive and compulsive. And also, and loving, intimacy with partners. Like, I think that's all good and healthy. We've just identified that porn is the toxic piece. So we get them in and we support them in abstinence. And in that place of abstinence, there's this healing and correction that begins to take place, I think, spiritually and also physically and mentally. And in that place, we support them in these tools around awareness, as you kind of mentioned, kind of helping them recognize, all right, here's the needs I've been attempting to meet by going to porn, and learning how to meet those needs in a healthier way. A lot of people are emotionally immature. So when they're dealing with these emotions, or when they're dealing with these urges, they got to do something with it. Like, boys run from their emotions, but men, we have this capacity to learn to sit and be with our emotions. Like, there's an emotional maturity there. So awareness around these thoughts and feelings, and also a willingness to be with ourselves emotionally. That's the second piece. And then the third piece is, once we remove the porn, we say, all right, in order to break a habit, you must make a habit. So we provide them with all the tools and the skill sets in order to meet these urges and meet these needs in a healthier way. And also we get them into personal power by helping them establish powerful daily routines of exercise, meditation, reading, and writing. We get them on personal growth tracks, you know what I'm saying? Yep. To get into power and personal responsibility, replace those habits.
Gotcha. Now that you're talking about what you spoke of, masturbation without pornography, there's a Netflix special or documentary or series with Gwyneth Paltrow that's called something to Goop, and they have sex coaches on there, and in the relationships, they help couples to learn how to have orgasms without intercourse. And it would just be through like a feather on your skin, and to see guys be able to become orgasmic. There was this one guy on the show, he was just so elated by the fact that he could have such a feeling internally without having the external, stimulation, that he was just like, I've been missing out my whole life.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of desensitization today. So I think tapping into that is all really important. Also, I think, a lot of the work that we do in our community is around self-love, and I think masturbation done in a healthy and conscious way, can be a form of connecting with yourself. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't have to be about, you know what I mean, like the external stimulation that we're looking at and just getting the nut, you know what I mean? And like fantasizing about women can also be a cultivating a better relationship with ourselves. And some people work on that throughout the process as well.
So I actually live in New York City, and there used to be these booths down in Times Square that you could go to. And it was sort of like movies. You would go in there and you buy these special coins, and you could go in this booth and you can just go to town while you're actually in the booth. And the reason that I bring that up is because when you talk about the desensitization and the hiding, you know, at one time it was sort of like it was okay to be out in public and do that. Like the booths were created for that, you know, so it's sort of like you don't have to do this at home. We've created this space for you. And you know, business guys come home from work in their suits and stuff, just stop in the shop, you know, 30 minutes before they go home, and this is what they do, but you don't realize the damaging effect that you're having by the time you reach home.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
You know,
and I mean, I would think then you get home and like I said, you've already extinguished all your energy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So as far as, did I read that you were also a monk? I'm a Buddhist minister or priest. Actually, okay. I went through a Buddhist seminary program and was trained in mindfulness and meditation and mindfulness counseling. And in that capacity, I've done work in prisons and hospitals with this kind of work as well.
Nice.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So if there's one thing that you could leave with the audience, because honestly, the audience on this podcast is primarily males. I want to say like 35 and up. What would that message be?
Oh man. Yeah. I think there's a lot of denial around this issue. A lot of guys don't want to really maybe admit to themselves that either they have an issue with it or they don't want to admit to themselves that maybe it's having potentially detrimental, issues in their life. So I would just say to take a good, honest look at it with yourself and kind of take a look at the correlation between your relationship with porn and maybe the impact that it's having in other areas of your life. Now, sometimes we're not aware of that until we do further investigation. And number two, I would say, if you do find that you have this kind of compulsive relationship with porn and you're not able to quit, maybe you've tried to quit in the past, or it's something that you've got a lot of hiding and shame and guilt around in your life, then freedom is available to you. But it takes a real, I think a real personal shift in identity. And I think it takes a lot of spiritual work too, but freedom can be had, you know? And I think a great first step is just beginning to get into community around it, Tommy.
Sounds good. Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been very enlightening. You know, when you first emailed me, I'm looking at the email. I'm like, because I've seen it a couple of times. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, just looking at the summary. I'm like, on the purpose, like, what are we going to, but after having a conversation with you, it's very enlightening, and it's great work that you're doing, especially helping men to identify self-love, because a lot of us are brought up to be tough, right? And not to look at our feelings and just handle things as it comes along. And that in itself creates inner turmoil.
And you got to remember in your mind,
express your
there's
emotions
nothing that's stopping you
in the
from being
correct way. So thank you very much for what you do.
that you have to do is
Hey, my pleasure, brother.
It's
It's an honor to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Just say, I'm
Cool. So once we chop this up, I'll send you the link over, and
you
can both post it on our social media.
Let the words manifest.
Yeah, I'll be sure to blast it out through all of our channels.
Don't think that it's all hype.
All right, man. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Charged up over something make believe. I am living proof. You were born to be great. Turn off the noise, everything else that's outside, and step into your greatness.